Hello. I've wanted to do this for a while, but my problem has always been that I can't seem to be brief enough because I do want this to be fairly short. I tend to ramble on way too much. But today I'm going to try to quickly go through the Yamaha SK-20 Sonic Ensemble. So this came out in 1980. And at the time, I imagine this would have filled a very interesting niche. At that time, synthesizers and keyboards in general they all had one sound. They were basically mono-timbral. That rolls off the tongue so poorly. Whereas this synthesizer, if you can call it that, is able to bring up a few different sounds at the same time. So it has three different sections. It has an organ section, it has a string section. Now, sorry if this crackles, the pot is a little crackly. Sorry. Then there's the string section. Doesn't sound very stringy, but if we add some ensemble and a little bit of gives it that real 70s, you know. And then it also has a very simple polysynth section. It says polysynth, but to be honest, it's paraphonic. There's not much that you can do outside of playing with the filter a little bit. It has some preset waveforms at preset pitches. And then we have cutoff, resonance, your envelope depth, and then the envelope. And the envelope depth kind of just affects the filter mostly. Each one of these sections has presets and then a manual, or sorry, the string doesn't. But the synth and the organ section have a manual section as well, which was what all the sliders were. So this is a preset synthesizer sound that you can use. And like I say, it's paraphonics, which means that the envelope is only triggered after the first note. It will only re-trigger once all notes have been let go, and then you press another note. So to re-trigger the envelope, you have to press let go and then press again. So there's definitely a certain style of playing if you want to be playing leads or something to, you know, have to play fairly staccato. If you're legato at all, you'll get that. So then there's three presets for the polysynth. And then, of course, the manual. So I set it so that there's a bit of attack, and then it kind of pulls back a little bit. But you could change that, you know. And it's a fairly low square wave with not a whole lot of anything going on there. There, we've got a little more cut off. We've got some there's a brilliance control, pretty simple, sustain attack, slow attack, sorry, pretty straightforward. The string is considered part of the polysynth, so when you go to turn on things like ensemble, tremolo, or vibrato, when you put it on the polysynth mode, it'll affect the strings as well. Although there is some caveats for the ensemble and the organ sound, we'll get to that a little bit. So then you do have like a mixer here where you can mix your polysynth and the strings or the organ. And because this slider crackles, I'm actually going to turn it on and just quit moving around. These two are actually okay. So there is some confusion as somebody mentioned that the organ is FM based. There's a lot of people say it isn't. Somebody said it can't be FM based because it's all sine waves. Well, I'm sorry to that person, but FM is built out of sine waves. So really that doesn't disprove anything. But one would have to sit down and look at the chips and to really know, and I don't understand that kind of stuff. So I can't say one way or the other. But I do like the organ sound. It's actually very nice. This is just one of the preset ones. Here's another one. A lot brighter, there's a higher stop. And unfortunately, there's a couple of things that stopped working in shipping. This is one of them, the third preset. And one of the things that people had mentioned is that the jumper cables, sometimes they loosen in the socket. So I went around and tightened them up, and some things came back, but I still didn't get my third organ sound yet. So pressing the manual, now we have drawbars, and they work. The synth section works like a regular synth section. Pushing it up goes higher, whereas the organ section works like a drawbar, so it's the opposite. So 0 is towards the back, and full out is pulled towards you. You know, and you can, so it's got stops from 16 to 1, and we've got a couple of odd ones to give the nice little harmonics, the 5 1/3 and 2 2/3, you know. Then there's also some percussive stuff, the little nice little pops here. There we go. So there's also some decay time, brilliance. It also has some sustain. Then, of course, the ensemble. So if you have the ensemble set up for the polysynth, it's not, the tremolo isn't going to work for the organ, unfortunately. Just the way it's wired up, I guess. So we'll turn that off, turn on the tremolo. So what haven't we covered? There's a vibrato section. Unfortunately, this is one of the other things that doesn't work. It's not a big deal to me. Oh, let's see. Sorry for the, that's for the organ. It's for me. It's not a big deal. Then you can change you can set the pitch for the organ section or the polysynth / string section. And then, of course, that's the nice thing with this mixer, is that you can actually play all 3 different sounds at the same time. There's also a split point, so from the F sharp here and lower, G flat if you prefer, you can have either the polysynth above and the organ in your bass, or vice versa. What else have I missed? So we've got a mixer section, main volume. This is an odd thing. I'm not exactly sure why you would have this, but they do have a on-off switch for the output. So if you're running your mix out, and for some reason, I don't know why, but you want to turn it off, there you go. Done. If I remember correctly, you'll probably hear it on my recording because it still comes out of the headphones. So one other thing I'm going to mention is it does have a big, huge plug here. Just if you happen to have an actual Leslie cabinet, you can run your tremolo section into a Leslie cabinet, and then it will work with the ensemble as well, because of course it's feeding the signal to an outboard effect. So there's a mix out, there's an out for each section, the organ section and the synth section. Yeah. So like I say, in the respect of looking at it at this moment, it's a very, very basic and limited synthesizer. There's no doubt about that. In 1980, it was probably pretty cool to have something like this. You know, be able to play some organ patches and then, you know, bring up some string stuff or whatever. I do like this. It's a nice, it's got, to me, it's got a nice organ sound. I like the strings. I'm not as crazy about the synth section. It does have like that sort of faux brass synth sound. I find it would be better if it had a little bit brighter sound, maybe for leads or something, but unfortunately it doesn't. So it is what it is. So anyway, got nice action, you know, organ action on the keyboard. And that's that. It's a heavy beast. It is certainly a heavy beast, because it's still coming out of that time where Yamaha was building those humongous keyboards, you know, like the CS series and that kind of thing. There is a couple models that are a little larger than this. There's the 30 and then the 50, and the 50 is actually two keyboards, like an organ style, and it comes with a lot more features. And that one actually comes in a case with its own feet and everything, own set of legs and stuff. I imagine it's probably just about 200 pounds. I think this is probably a good 40 pounds. Pretty close, anyway. It's definitely not something you want to be dragging with you everywhere. So this one is definitely not going too far. I'm playing it mostly here. And that's the SK-20 Symphonic Ensemble. Very nice. So just to give you an idea what it sounds like, I figured I'd play a couple snippets of some things. Oh, I remember now. First I'll do this, I guess. couple of things that I wanted to mention that I missed earlier. So I bought this sort of as an impulse buy. I'm just going to go a little closer here. I was looking at auctions. I admit I'm a auction junkie. Um, I was looking at Yamaha CS stuff, and this popped up and for a decent price, and I thought, I'll check it out. And as I said, I actually really like this keyboard. So I got it for a pretty decent price, and I bought it earlier this year, so spring of 2023. So I haven't had it like a super long time, but yeah, it seems to run pretty good. Like I said, there's a couple of things that aren't working. Nothing serious though, and at some point I'm sure I'll open it up and wiggle the wires around, and hopefully the old beast will come back to life.